Hey guys, welcome back. You may notice I look a little different today. I don't have on any blush or contour or bronzer, and I only have corrector under my eyes. I don't have any concealer on. A lot of you have been asking if I could do a video or videos that would tackle some of these things, so I thought I would do that for you guys today. I have to be out the door quickly. I like to do things in a natural way where they enhance what I want to enhance and play down what I want to play down. And so I think that's why a lot of you were asking me to do a video like this, so I could give you the non-YouTuber way of doing things. A lot of us are getting older and want to play down some things and play up some things. So that's what I'm hoping you take away from this video today. Hopefully I can give you some tips and tricks that will help you out with contouring and blush and bronzer and highlighting. I was going to have this just be mostly powder today because that's what this is going to involve. This is not going to be your cream contour that's going to take a long time and be really involved. That would be a whole different ball game. This is your easy, every day you can do this very, very quickly. That's what this video is going to be. I wasn't even going to include the concealer part, but then I realized some of that does have to do with highlighting, and you guys might want to see that too. So if you are interested in learning a little bit more about natural, everyday, easy, quick highlighting, contouring, bronzing, blush, all that stuff, just keep watching. Okay, there are so many options for concealers to choose from. I just have 4 right here, but I have a whole jar full of them over there. Urban Decay Naked Skin, the Milani Retouch and Erase Concealer, which I really, really love. Tarte Shape Tape, of course, you guys know I love. And the Bare Minerals Bare Skin Serum Concealer. I've been liking this a lot lately. I think that's what I'm going to use today. That you can use. Just anything that gives that lightening effect. I don't like to use the same concealer under my eyes that I use on my face. I've already concealed on my face, and for that today I used my Tarte Shape Tape in light medium. That's just more my skin color. When I use Shape Tape under my eyes, I use light medium Honey. It's not necessarily a whole shade lighter, but it is a little bit lighter than what I put on my face because it gives a brightening effect. A lot of this is covered in my how to use Shape Tape if you're not a YouTuber video, and I will link that. A lot of you have responded really, really well to that video, and I do show how I highlight and all that in that video. So I'm just going to go through this really, really quickly. Again, I do have on corrector already, but I just put some dots underneath my eyes, and again, you just don't want to put too much, but I'll just blend it out with a damp sponge. And I bring it all the way out here because I have a thin face, and I find that, you know, while if you have a round face, you might want to later on put some contour over here to slim it. If you have a thin face, putting a highlight that extends all the way kind of up this cheekbone is going to give you a lift. And as we age, your face starts to droop. It's so depressing. But if you put a little of your highlight all in this area, don't cake it on, it does give you a little bit of a lift. So that's why I extend the concealer out this way, and that's why I wanted to put that in this video. So you'll notice I also layer a couple of dots on top after I've done my main concealing, and that is to enhance this highlighting effect on top of the cheekbone. And this doesn't take long, but I feel like it's a necessary step. And I also put one right in that tear trough because I have a hollow there, and I know a lot of you do too because you talked to me about that. Like, that just gives a little bit of brightening right in that darkest spot of my dark circles. I feel like you guys have seen me conceal under my eyes so many times. This is probably just like a broken record. So then I will take this same damp sponge and I will dip it in my powder. I like Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder, but you can use any translucent loose powder that works for you. I just feel like this is so finely milled, and what I'm doing now is just getting out any little crinkles that have formed under here with the opposite side of my sponge. I dab this powder right under the eye. All where I just concealed. I think I forgot to mention this. I don't have any powder on my face at all right now because I didn't want my concealer to interact with my powder. So I'm going to just dust away any excess because we're not baking here. I don't bake. I find it is very drying. So that is what I'm going to do for my under eyes. And you can see this side is a lot more lifted. So now that I've done that, what I'm going to do is take this lightly down the center of my nose, and only do this if you are interested in slimming your nose or straightening your nose. I have kind of a wonky nose. I have a deviated septum. I have a little bump right here. So I take this just lightly down my nose, and you'll see when I go to do a little bit of contour, I kind of try to give the illusion that it's a little straighter than it is. It sometimes may not make any difference, but to me it's just a subtle difference. And I take this all the way up here because I have a big indentation right here, or not indentation, I don't know, it's just kind of deep right there, I think. If you are flatter here, from here to here, you may not want to enhance this and make this come out. Highlighting and contouring is all about shadows and light. The light places are going to be enhanced. The shaded places are going to recede. And so, you know, you want to bring forward the places that you highlight, like the tops of the cheekbones, the center of the face, that kind of thing. So that's what you are going to do. Now, if you have a large chin, you probably don't want to put anything on your chin. I, on a daily basis, typically don't do anything to my Cupid's bow or my chin. That's just me, but you can, and I do talk about that in the Tarte Shape Tape video that I've linked below if you want to go watch that. But this is a typical everyday video for me. So this is the point where I'm going to put on powder, and I'm just going to do that off camera because that is not highlighting or contouring or bronzing. So now it's time to contour. I'm using the Sephora Pro Contour number 79 brush, and I'm also going to be using this Makeup Revolution Iconic Lights and Contour Pro palette. And I really have been enjoying this palette. I've had it for about a month now, and it's got such a nice variety of shades. When you are choosing a contour shade, it's important to go for a gray tone or a cooler tone because that is what the shadow looks like when it's on your face. Now, the exception is if I'm going for just a really quick sun-kissed look, and that's when I'll use a bronzer and I won't necessarily contour per se. But for just like a regular contour look, I will use an actual contour color. I usually toggle between these two, and lately I've been using just this one. It looks really light, but I find that it works well for my face, and sometimes I mix the two. So today I'm just going to take a little bit of this one and a little bit of that one, and I tap off the excess. Those two are the cooler shades in the palette, so I like those the best. Everybody does this a different way. You know, some people start from the top of the ear and go down towards the corner of the mouth, which is absolutely fine. I find looking down and looking for that shadow works well for me. And I personally tend to stop about where the corner of my eye is. There's no hard rule, just don't go all the way down to your mouth. I just kind of go, I don't know, maybe halfway down the cheek. And I like to start with a very light hand. You don't want to go down further than this because then it's going to look muddy. And again, I'm not going for a harsh line because this is a soft everyday contour. So I'm just kind of going, I guess, oval motions, not even really circular motions. Again, I'm not going for big hard stripes on my face. I'm just kind of going for a nice soft contour. And don't worry if you feel like you put too much on, that can always be remedied later. I'm going to show you what I do a lot to help blend everything together if you feel like you've got harsh lines. I think the goal of most people is to get as close to an oval face as they can, and the contour for the forehead can be kind of tricky for some people. If you have a wider face and a wider forehead, you may want to bring this up and contour along your temples and the sides of your forehead. Clearly, I'm not one of those people. I never bring this up along here. I never bring it on the sides of my forehead. I have a taller forehead, so I contour along the hairline up here. All of this is very personal based on your face shape. So that's what I'm going to do now. And again, I'm taking those circular motions, and you're gonna bring this down as far as you're comfortable with your forehead height. I've got a lot of real estate up here. So I'm going to be bringing this down a little bit, but I can afford to. The goal is to have it blended in enough to where it doesn't look like a harsh line. It just looks kind of like a bend in your forehead, if that makes sense, and you want to have it blended into your hairline enough. Again, if you feel like it's too harsh, we can blend it in. And that's probably darker than I do on an everyday basis. I'm kind of just trying to show you with the camera because it looks like I'm kind of faded out. So now I'm going to do the sides of my nose, which I do sometimes just because. Sometimes I use this and I'll pinch it a little bit. And sometimes I use this. And I'll again just take a little bit on my brush, tap it off, and I just use very quick strokes on the sides of my nose. And I think for me, that's key, is the very quick strokes on the sides of the nose. And here I'm going a little bit more inward because that's where that bump is. So I take it a little bit higher down the nose. Higher, I mean forward. I guess that's what I mean, is forward down the nose. And it's very subtle. You have to be really subtle on the nose or it can look bad. So for the other side, you may not even be able to see that in the camera. I don't go quite as high. I go a little bit further down and I'm just going in a straight path. So I'm not even sure if you can see. To me, it looks a little bit slimmer. Okay, so that's what I've done there. And now the jawline is where a lot of people, especially as we get older, we want to tackle because you start to get that, you know, little fun area down there. Some people, if they have a bigger chin, you can put some right here and kind of shorten the chin a little bit. I don't typically do that, but the jawline, you can just take some underneath your jaw and just start blending to give yourself a little bit more of a defined jaw. And again, I do circular motions. And this is all going to come together, especially when we add the bronzer in and do a little bit of blending. So it may look harsh right now, but just like with eyeshadow, it's all about blending. And of course, this is going to take me a little longer while I'm explaining it to you, but in the morning, it's like, done. I mean, I can do this really, really quickly in the morning. I keep saying in the morning. I can do it quickly at night too. Whatever time of day. This is where if I'm doing any kind of highlight, I would do this now before I do blush because I feel like it blends in a little better and I don't like my highlight to be obvious. You can use a brush like this or you can use a brush like this. It just depends on my mood. Today I'm going to use this color right here. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it, but not too much. And since I'm going to work, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to just put it right along here. And you may not even be able to see it because it's really, really subtle. But it's just kind of enhancing that highlight that I put on a while ago. And I take that in a C shape. And actually, I'm going to show you with this brush. You would just kind of take it like that. Tap off the excess. So that's what we have going there. And that's really all I'm going to do. And then now I'm going to do bronzer, and I'm just using my trusty butter bronzer from Physicians Formula, and I just take a fluffy brush. I use Real Techniques blush brush because it's big and it's too big for blush for my tiny face, and I just dip it in there, tap off the excess, shake it off, whatever you do. So this is where I vary. I like bronzer. I don't use it all over my face, but I just like to give a little life to the face. And like right now, I feel like I'm a little bit white. I'm a little bit washed out. So I'll take it along the back part of the cheek and kind of blend out this contour a little bit, very lightly with the bronzer. I'll also take along the top of the forehead, and I'll take it down the nose a little bit, even though I may have just highlighted there. And if you think about where the sun hits you, it's on the cheeks, it's down the nose, it's on the forehead, and it's on the chin. And I feel like a lot of people highlight those areas, but I just kind of loosely take bronzer in all those areas, and I will bring it down the neck a little bit because I feel like it just helps give a little bit of life. And if I'm feeling a little bit pale, or if I have too much of a pale foundation, I will even it out with bronzer. Bronzer is your friend. Bronzer can really help bring a little bit of life to your face. And I don't know, I kind of have a bronzer addiction, I think. But like you can see, I just kind of feel like it enhances any face. And you know, you guys have been asking me what I do. That's what I do. I just kind of blend it out, and it gives a little warmth. I feel like it gives warmth. Not that I do it every day. Yeah, I do use bronzer every day. It's a sickness. It's a sickness. So now it's time for blush, and today I'm using a pigmented, really flushed looking pink from Cargo. It's called Catalina, and I vary my blushes, as you guys know. I'm using Morphe E4, and it's a less dense brush, and I'm using this because this is so pigmented. And I have a few blush brushes that I use, and I'll link those below too. And I just dip it in and tap off the excess. Always tap off the excess. That's important. You don't want to lay down a big chunk of blush on your face and then end up having to wipe half of it away. So the rule of thumb that I use for blush is to start at the outside and work inward. And the reason why is very similar to eyeshadow. Where you place your brush first is where you're going to get the most pigment. And I think that getting that glow that starts here and works its way inward just looks so much prettier because you have that highlight from the inside of the face going towards the glow on the outside of the face. I just think it looks better. That's personal opinion. But I also don't go with the apple of the cheek theory, because as we age, the apples of our cheeks start to fall. Right here is the apple of my cheek. When I smile, it goes like this, and when I don't, it goes like this. And so my blush is going to be here. That's just not going to fly. So I tend to place my blush from here to about there. I kind of stop at the iris. So I have a longer face. My blush placement is going to be more in a slightly horizontal placement. If you have a round face, you may want to go a little more vertically on an angle than I do. So that's going to be, again, dependent on your face shape, but I always use swirling motions. So you can see that pink color is meshing in with the bronzer and the contour just to give a nice glow. And I re-dip it and use, again, swirling motions, concentrating most of it towards the back and stopping about the middle of the iris and putting it mostly towards the top and middle of the cheekbone. So that's pretty much it for highlighting, contouring, blush, bronzer. That's what I do on an everyday basis, except for one more step. I don't do this every day, but I do it fairly often because I either want to give a soft, more glowy look, kind of a blurred look, or I do want to blend some lines a little bit more. And that is to take a soft focus powder like MAC Mineralized Skin Finish, Laura Mercier Candle Glow, even the new Wet n Wild Photo Focus. You can even do this with just a regular translucent powder. The point is that it just doesn't have coverage to it, or if it does, it's just a very light coverage. I am in the medium plus shade of Mineralized Skin Finish, and you can see I'm almost done. But I just take a brush. I typically use this Bare Minerals Handy Buki that I've had forever, and you take it and swirl it in your powder. And again, tap off any excess, and you buff it into your face. And it seems like it's going to add all of this cakiness, but it really doesn't. It just softens the look a little bit. I've been really happy with the results and how it looks. So I usually buff from the bottom up so that it doesn't drag any color down. And I'll just re-dip into the powder as needed. I pretty much take it all over just so it has that soft focus effect everywhere. But you can see how it already softened that line. You've got this side and you've got this side. But I just feel like it looks so natural and pretty. And if you used a shimmery highlight and used too much, or if you have, you know, too much of a line down your nose, it can really soften that too. So now that is the final step. That can be just a trick to help you fix any mistakes, or it can just give you a soft glow to the highlighting that you've already done. So that is all of the highlighting, contouring, bronzing, blushing, everything that I do almost on a daily basis. I don't always highlight on a daily basis, and sometimes I don't contour. I use just bronzer, and I'll take it just down the sides like that where the contour is, just for warmth. But that's pretty much the gist of it. It's easy. It can really enhance some features. It doesn't have to be complicated and difficult at all. I hope that that was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're not following me on my social media, I'm pretty active on Snapchat and Instagram and Twitter. I will put those on the screen and I will link them below too. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.